Well, hey friends, welcome back. I am sitting in front of two boxes from my friend Anne over at the Dahlia House. We did an interview a couple weeks back and it was like such a life-giving day. And not only is she the queen of dahlias, but she is an incredible, and I do mean incredible, expert at growing ranunculus and anemones. So I hopped on her website right after we finished filming and ordered some goodies for the cut flower garden. And just in case you've never grown anemones or ranunculus, this is the time of year when we want to be jumping straight into action. Now, this applies for all of us in kind of more mild climates. If you are up in the frozen tundra of Canada, this is probably not for you. You are going to, of course, watch this video, but then you are going to save the instructions for when you start yours in the springtime. So without much further ado, let's jump into these boxes. All right, so I placed two orders, and here is, let me see which one is which. Oh, this was the second one. Okay, first things first. Let's go back to this one. So what happened was I came home, I immediately went online and placed an order, and then literally I released the video, and that day she restocked her anemones and ranunculus, and there were some that she restocked that I had wanted, and so I placed another order. Basically, it was almost impossible not to buy everything, but I'm gonna go over what I did buy because, man, she has some really, really good stuff. And she isn't growing just like any ranunculus. She is growing the Italians, which are just super, super, super durable. Okay. Oh my gosh, no, maybe this was my first one and this was my second one. That was my first one. Okay. Scratch that. I had them reversed. She also includes instructions. These are amazing, amazing instructions. And so let me go ahead. I'm going to start with this one first. These are, man, oh man, these are some of the ones that I just really fell in love with. I think maybe we should start with the Italian Ranuncs first. What are these little guys? Oh, those are anemones. Okay, so starting with the Italian Ranunculus, I really wanted to target colors that I knew I would love to work with, colors that I knew would work with a lot of different kind of just floral elements that I love to play with. So first up is my neutral. I ordered the Italian Ranunculus Crema. This is so gorgeous. It's just that beautiful, creamy, soft white, just sensational. Love this. The next thing that I ordered was the Italian Ranunculus Sfumato. I am so tickled to play with this one. It is just a gorgeous, gorgeous, very pastel-y, dreamy tone. The next thing that I ordered was basically, I couldn't decide what other colors I wanted to work with. So I chose one of her mixes. And this one is the Ranunculus Dolce Amor mix. And this had so many different colors that I love to play with. It's bright, it's cheerful, it's got lots of oranges, just an amazing array of colors. And so I've got my neutral crema, my sfumato, which I was just obsessed with, and then this Dolce Amor mix because I felt like that added some vibrancy, because I always like to think about my spring celebrations, and so I felt like this was just a great mix. Next thing on my list are my Italian anemones, and I chose two, funny enough. The first one is one called Rarity. This is one that I have grown in years past, and again, it's got that dreamy, very barely there coloration that I love. I absolutely love. So this one I knew right off the bat I was going to order. I've grown it, I've loved it, growing it again. The next one was actually kind of a surprise for me. This is an Italian anemone called Grape. And I am so very excited to grow this one. Typically, I am not one that gravitates towards like the grape colored things as a forerunner. I always feel like it's a great accent. But there was something about this particular grape anemone that I just went bananas for. So that was haul number one. Box number 2. This was another one that I was just so tickled to play with. And it has 2 of the ones that I felt like, gosh, these were the 2 that came back in stock that I knew I had to have. The first one is actually a Brian pick. This is one of the ones that she said was like her absolute favorite. It's the Anemone Bianco Center Nero. This one is so dynamic. It is white with just this jet black center. Super stunning. I am so excited to play with this. Okay, and the other one, it's a mix that came in, and I also knew, you know how much I love a moody flower? This is the Bella Notte mix. Just stop the presses. It is deep, it is saturated, it is moody, and so I feel like I've got now one mix for my brighter side, one mix for my moodier side, and so could not be more excited to get these started. The first thing I'm actually going to do now is since I am in more of a warmer zone, I am a zone 8, I'm actually going to start these early. And so what that means is I'm going to fall prepare them. So what we're talking about is I'm just going to get out a bunch of little jars, little cups. I'm going to plop all of these guys in there and I'm going to fill them with water and I'm just going to let it ride for at least 6 hours. And I was talking to Anne and she says that when she grows them and has these giant netted bags full of them, she will literally throw everything into her bathtub and then just let it ride. So, I mean, can you imagine starting that many flowers that you fill up your bathtub as a soaking basin? It did, like, the image of that is priceless. So I'm going to get these soaked and you're going to kind of see what happens to them. Oh, and let me actually open this for you. For those of you who've never started ranunculus before, basically I just tell people it looks like a tiny dried octopus. So when you order them, this is what comes in. This is your ranunculus corm, and it is just this little shriveled, dried octopus. And what you're going to see is after this has soaked for 6 hours, this little bugger is going to plump up and practically double in size. I want to show you also an anemone. So hang tight. Anemones totally crack me up. They look like dried, shriveled acorns. Check that little thing out. That is anemone corm. This is just this little tiny nugget of a thing. And once this guy gets soaking, he is going to plump up spectacularly. So I'm actually not going to put these into water until probably right before I go to bed. However, I wanted to kind of show you the basics of it all. So I keep a bag here of old plant labels. And so essentially, you need a jar, a glass, anything that you have. You could use a bowl, a ramekin, whatever, what have you. Next, you are going to take your, gosh, which one should I do? I'm going to take my Italian ranunculus, my Bella Notte mix. So essentially, all you want to do is write Bella Notte. Okay, I always tag my stuff first because I'm the queen of getting seeds and seedlings mixed up. Okay, next. You take all of your shriveled octopus and you just put them in your jar like that, okay? And then I do these one at a time so that I'm not mixing up all my guys. So next thing, you are literally going to fill up your jar. Now, what you're noticing here is I'm actually giving this quite a bit of room because these things are practically going to double in size. These Italians are so durable. I don't need to leave the water running, any of that stuff. If I do this, what I'll do is I will put in my little plant label. And if I want to do anything, I might give them a stir every hour or so. But basically all you do is put your little plant label in and then put this somewhere just out of sunlight, nice and cool, to chill for at least 6 hours, or sometimes it's easy just to chuck them in before bed, and first thing in the morning, you're ready to go. Okay, just because we're being thorough, I am now going to do the same thing with this next one. This is my Anemone Bianco Center Nero. My gosh, this thing is so stinking pretty. So I'm just gonna go Bianco CN. Cool. Okay. And these look a little bit different, but they're gonna behave similarly. So you are gonna chuck all your little shriveled acorns right on in there. Cover it with at least twice as much water. Pop in your little plant tag, and that's it, you guys. The corms that Anne sells are super durable, really, really hardy. And so literally this is step one. It could not be more simple. So I will meet you right back here tomorrow for step number 2 of pre-sprouting ranuncs and anemones. Friends, it is the next day. I'm back from work, and essentially I have put these in jars and they've been soaking for about 8 hours. And what you can see is I've just done my typical, I wrote on an old plant tag and in they go. And I want to show you the size difference because it's hilarious. Friends, here we are. These are my little babies. Right here, this is the dried corm. This is one that I did not soak in water. And so it's that shriveled little octopus that you saw the other day. And this guy is all puffed up. Should we do a side by side? Look at that. It is coming right along. This is the perfect stage that you want to see after soaking these. Okay, let me get one of these grape guys here for you too. I'm actually going to just pour off the water. There we go. These ones, I forgot to save one of these to show you kind of the before, but I'm going to zoom in on this guy so you can kind of see essentially what it looks like. This is our puffed up little anemone corm, and these come in all different kind of sizes, but they should all roughly look like this shape. And you can see we still are a little bit wrinkly. These ones, I don't feel like the transformation is as dramatic after soaking. What I'm going to do is I want to go over just some basics. Essentially, anemones are going to be sturdier, tougher, more cold tolerant than ranunculus by about 5 to 10 degrees. So if you are living in a zone 7 or higher, you can plant these things now and let them kind of cruise all through the winter, and then you're off to the races in the spring. Now, if you get down to freezing temps or extended periods below, say, 30 for your ranunculus and about 25 for your anemones, I want you to go ahead and throw like a frost cloth. You can buy that pretty much anywhere. I mean, Anne was telling me that she's even used a bed sheet before, but just layer a little bit of frost cloth over the top, weight it down with a couple rocks, and you're good to go. Now, for me, I can do a couple of different things. I can chuck these in the ground as is, or I can pre-sprout them. Here's the difference. Pre-sprouting, since these little buggers are very prone to rot, I like to pre-sprout them because I like to know what is successful, and it also helps you get a little bit of a leg up as you get into the growing season. And pre-sprouting is not some big fancy scientific experiment. It is actually super duper simple. Literally take a tray, fill it with pre-moistened potting soil, throw in your corms, cover them up, and then you check on them every couple of days until you see white root hairs develop. So you're going to be checking on these, checking for those little root hairs every 2 to 3 days. And once those root hairs are about a ½ inch to an inch long, I would err on the side of a ½ inch. You can chuck them out into the garden. So I'm just going to go through, start filling these with soil, and I'll show you also how I space them and how I kind of mark out what's going where. All right, friends, we are starting with pre-moistened potting soil. Now, this is not super saturated, but you are going to notice when I form a clump, it's going to stay somewhat together. So I'm going to fill the bottom of this tray with about an inch of soil. So probably up to that halfway marker. All right, I've got a little extra water. Just going to add it in there. Okay, so now that we have everybody kind of our tray filled here, I am going to start with this Dolce Amore mix, and I'm going to dump out my little goodie bag. What I'm going to do is you are going to take this, and it's okay if these little buggers fall off. No one's going to die. But you're going to take your little octopus, and you're going to kind of nestle him down in there. And I put these, gosh, maybe just a couple inches apart, because I'm only waiting for my roots to be about a ½ inch long. And so if I were to put them any closer together, I run the risk of tangling them up. However, if I put them farther apart, then I'm just kind of wasting space. So I like to do it about like this. It's like maybe an inch, maybe 2. And then I snuggle them in and I stagger my rows. So see how it's kind of staggered here? Now I'm going to come back this way. Oh my gosh, and I'm so excited to see this all come together. By the way, if you have any of these little buddies, these little legs that break off, I just chuck them aside. They're not going to grow into anything. So I just get rid of them because I don't want anything in my soil that is going to rot prematurely and cause these little corms to rot. And like I was saying, this is just one of those kind of nice and easy end of a workday project where it's just easy. It's mindless. It's just lovely. Okay, I think I have room for another mix. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go with my Bella Notte mix. And what I do is I literally just do this. It's so simple. I'm not into creating some sort of like fancy system. I'm just going to use what I got and get creative. And by the way, if you are in the Northwest or somewhere in zone 7 or 8, this is totally what you should be doing right now in terms of giving yourself a leg up in your cutting garden for the year to come. Because in spring, my world is banana pants. And so anything that I can do now is just going to make my life more simple and easygoing. So I'm going to give myself a little helping hand. You know, it's kind of one of those things where sometimes I will literally say to myself that spending the extra few minutes now, it's like giving tomorrow's Kate a gift. Oh my gosh. Okay, that is perfection. Total perfection. Okay, now that we have this whole tray essentially potted and getting ready to sprout, what I do sometimes is I'll take these little tags, and you can either leave them up like that or you can kind of angle them down in. But these are just like my little separation zones. All right, next we are going to cover all of these little buggers with a nice little layer of soil. And we are not doing anything crazy like tamping this down, firming the soil. I want it nice and light because we're really going to be checking on these every couple days. And we're going to kind of dig around with our finger. We're going to root around a little bit, and we're going to check for that root development that I was talking about. And if you feel like your soil is getting dry, this is where you're going to water it just ever so slightly. So if you have like a nozzle that has mist or something like that, that's what you're going to use. Don't come in here with jet. I don't want to see any of that. Don't come crying if you do that. Okay. So there we are. So this tray is now ready to go into a cool, dark location for the next couple weeks as we're waiting for all of those root hairs to develop. As soon as I see that happen, I'm going to then just a dirt flyover. So as soon as I see those root hairs develop, I will invite you into the cut garden with me, and you're going to see me actually tuck these little guys into the ground. All right, my loves, it's anemone time, and it was really cute. I actually was able to get one of these little stickers off of the bag, and I stuck it right there. So cute. Okay, this one is my grape anemone, and here we are. How funky are these little chickens? So some say you should do it pointy side down. I say it doesn't really matter. You can lay them on your side, but I'm gonna put these pointy side down right here. I'm gonna give them the same spacing. And so just like an inch or two apart, And again, these guys are going to be ready when we have about 1/2 inch of root growth. And then some of them, it's like, which side is the pointy side? Well, we're just going to fake it till you make it, kids. Fake it till you make it. Okay, amazing. All right, I'm going to grab, oh man, this Bianco Centronero. I'm so excited about this one. All right, so she's going in there. And these ones, look at this. So this is the grape. Let me see if I can get a good example. Look how big that one is compared to this little guy. So funny. And it doesn't mean like this is not a bigger is better situation. They're both going to be great. Okay. Boom. Done. I still have, what's this last one? Yes. Okay. This one is Rarity. Oh my gosh, you guys, this is so funny. This is literally like the happy medium of it all. Okay, so giving a little space here. I'm going to get these little guys going too. You know, and if I was thinking clearly, you know what I would have done? I would have done, if you just have like a couple trays, I would have done anemone, ranunculus, anemone, ranunculus, so you can really tell the difference. This was maybe not my most brilliant move, doing all anemone in a tray together. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take out these Bianco Centroneros because I don't want to get these things messed up. They are so dang pretty. I'm going to put them back in the jar with their little tag. Always keep everybody together. And I'm going to grab this guy. Oh, this is Sfumato. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but it's what we're doing. Now, because this is not the mix, the mixes came with 20 corms, and so it's a bit more. This came with 10. So I'm going to put these little guys, octopus tentacles down. Gosh, I'm so excited about these. And you know what I'm going to do? Do you love how I'm just like making up my rules as I go? Repeat after me. It's my garden. I do what I want. Perfect. Okay, that is making so much more sense. And we'll do that. Okay. And then I just have a wee bit of space here. Let's see what I'm going to do next. Oh, this is the crema. I actually think I've got space for this because crema only came in a pack of 10. So let me dump the water and I'll be right back. All right, there we go. Oh, and this is kind of cool. You can see the little root hairs from last year. This is what you're going to expect to see, except they're going to be bright white. And now that these are all in place, I'm going to go ahead and sprinkle some soil on top. Okay, and just in case it wasn't super obvious by me doing this together, you're going to treat your anemones and your ranunculuses exactly the same in terms of pre-sprouting. And so that is why I feel very confident mixing both of these together. Okay, I have just a few of, I'm going to pop those Bianco Centroneros into a third tray. And then these little cuties are going to go hang out in my basement for a couple weeks. So I made the choice to start all of these at once. But when I was talking to Anne from the Dahlia House, she was actually saying that she chunks these out and succession plants them. So she gets an additional like 6 weeks of blooms, which is so genius. So genius. And last thing I wanted to say here is that all of these florals really love the cold weather. So probably about 70 degrees and the anemones are going to be kaput. 80 degrees, the ranunculus are like, peace out, it's too warm for me. And so these are going to be some beautiful florals that we're going to get early in the season and just be able to enjoy and relish in those early blooms before the garden really starts cooking for the summer. The other thing I wanted to mention is at the end of the season, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to treat these like I would treat a daffodil bulb. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to continue to feed and water the bulb as it is dying back. So I'm going to let the ranunculus and the anemone foliage get tattered, yellowed, and I'm going to keep feeding them because they are photosynthesizing and they are putting energy back to that little corm. And then once they are kaput, I will actually dig them out and store them and do this process again the next fall. All right, my friends, that is going to do it for me today. I'm going to go inside and wash up these dirty little mitts, and I'm going to see you next one. In the meantime, as always, please say hello to your garden for me.